my name is Alexandria, and today I will be talking about a mini reading intervention lesson that I am utilizing. It is called Comparing and Contrasting Social Media Then and Now. I found it from Teachers Pay Teachers, which is a really great source. It is a free resource, and it is from the author. I believe her name is Jordan Forsyth. Yes, Jordan Forsyth is the original author of this activity. I didn't need to make any changes or edits to this activity, so I was really able to just find it and be able to utilize it, which is really great. So first, the objectives are for students to be able to read this activity. They are able to increase their skill sets in fluency, reading fluency, as well as comprehension. There will be some comprehension questions after this reading. They are also able to work on comparing and contrasting. They will be able to compare and contrast social media from then and now based on what they read in text. And finally, they are going to be able to work on some vocabulary, which is great, learning new words and defining those. Those are some of the objectives of this activity. Oh, and they will also be able to talk about the author's purpose. Some of the items you will need for this activity are pencils. Depending on how many pencils you will need, I will be working with 6th grade students. So this will be a 6th grade lesson. And I will be working with a group of 5, a total of 20, so 4 rotations. So I'll have 5 pencils for my students, and then I will have a handout ready for each of them. So you'll need handouts depending on how many students you're working with. There's 2 pages to this handout, so you will need 1 of each for each student. And you will also need, depending on how you want to go about the vocabulary section of this activity, you may need dictionaries. So you will need 1 per student. And finally, you will need, and this part is optional, it's not mandatory that you have this, but an anchor chart available to your students. So I wanted to talk about my procedures first. The activity first looks like this. We have social media then and now printout, and it is just a non-fiction informational text about social media, and it's kind of comparing how it was then and how it is now. And then we have a second page, which is the response to the text page, and it's really awesome because they have this graphic organizer comparing and contrasting, and we have similarities, and so students are able to work on that. And then after, we have vocabulary, and then we have comprehension checks, and then we have what is the author's main purpose. So now I'm going to go over a little bit of the procedures and how I kind of would run this activity. First, I would begin by introducing the activity to the students. I would start a conversation about social media. Around middle school and high school, students tend to be interested in what social media is and all the different things. A lot of them might have some background knowledge about it. Maybe some have very limited knowledge. This just allows us to open a conversation about it and for them to become a little bit interested in the informational text we are going to read. After that, I am going to instruct them to, while we are reading, think about some of the things that we are comparing and contrasting. Think about some of those similarities and differences they're reading. And this just allows them to be able to recall when we start working on our graphic organizer later. Then we're going to begin reading. I'm going to begin the reading, and then I will maybe pass it off to the next student, and the next, and the next, and the next, and I'm able to listen to each student read and kind of hear where they are fluency-wise. After we are done reading, students and myself, we're going to talk about some of those similarities and differences. Then we're going to talk about if we can recall comparing and contrasting. Since this is a mini lesson, it's a intervention lesson, it's based on something that we've already learned. And so maybe they will be able to share some of the things that they recall learning in their main lesson with their teacher. And then we're going to apply some of that knowledge, and we're going to talk about the comparing and contrasting of the text, the social media then versus what we have now, what's different, what's the same, and how do we know that. And maybe we will use our anchor chart that I told you about, some of these similar words, or some of the words that reflect similarities, some of the words that reflect differences. So we'll see if we can find some of those in the text, and we're going to jot down some of the similarities and differences, the comparing and contrasting. We'll fill out that organizer together, and then we're going to move on to the vocabulary side. So like I said, the vocabulary piece looks like this. So we have 4 words in this bank. I will end up pairing up 2 students together to work on 1 word, which is fine. It's going to still work out the same, but I'm going to give each student 1 word minus the student who two of them will be working together. I'm going to give them all a word individually to look up. So we have evolved and activity surpassed. Each student will get one word to look up the definition in the dictionary. Prior to looking up these words in the dictionary, we are going to talk a little bit about what we think they mean based on the context. So maybe we see a word, how that word is used in a sentence. How and what do we think about that? What do we think that could mean? So we'll kind of go off of that, and then we will compare it to the definition and see if we were on the right track. Next, we are going to do the comprehension check, and the comprehension check is this bank. It just has a couple of quick comprehension questions, and we will answer those in a conversation form. So I might say, okay, so why do we think Facebook originally was created? What do we think it's created? What do we think it's used for? And so we'll talk about it, and this gives me an idea of were kids able to, or students, were they able to retain that information they read? And then finally, we talk about what the author's purpose is. This is really important for students to understand the takeaway, understand why the text was created. What is the point of it? Why do we need to know this? Or what is the author saying we need to know about it? So really great for us to go over those things. I have one student I'm supporting who has autism. So some of the accommodations I would make: first, I will provide an anchor chart. This is most important when you have a student who you need to make accommodations for. Having something visually available to that student, they're able to check it, refer to it as many times as necessary, which is super helpful for a student, any student really. So it's just great to have that extra layer of support for them. And finally, I would have some type of manipulatives available. Maybe they need something to fidget with. Maybe they need something to just allow them to have busy hands while they are listening and focusing and working. And that is just a part of learning. A lot of students learn differently. And so being able to have different accommodations for the student is very important to me. Okay, finally, I chose this activity. I didn't necessarily design it specifically, but I did choose it because I really think it's great for students to be able to practice all of these skills that I listed at the beginning, being able to strengthen their skill sets of comprehension, of fluency, of vocabulary. The topic I felt was very spot on for students this age. It's really great to find a topic that really piques their interest, I think. And if it doesn't, and they're not interested, not all students are interested in social media, that's okay. There is new information that they probably didn't know, and that's really exciting too, to just learn something new and be able to be part of the conversation. I really thought that this activity included a lot of building blocks that a student needs to continue to be a really great reader. They're able to engage in many different ways throughout this activity, and they're able to build their skill sets through many parts of this activity. Thank you.